Let's get cozy. Welcome to the Midnight Series, where we slip into our PJs and lean into the uncomfortable, one late night conversation at a time. Think of this as your late night sleepover with friends, the kind where conversation gets real after the lights go out. So slip into your PJs, grab your favorite beverage, and let's begin.
Maggie, you are not coming.
Maggie loves this show.
Sorry.
She is she's a co-host. She is.
She seriously is. She's like, you better start paying me.
Yeah, put her on the payroll. I think this is our first episode where we're not
virtual.
Yeah, where we're not sitting next to each other. It feels weird. I'm like reaching over for you.
I know. I just have Maggie here. She'll probably pop up and down.
Our other co-host.
We were joking earlier saying she's the other co-host. She needs to be put on the payroll.
Yeah, there she can see her
she'll
booty.
Probably be jumping around. I know. She'll put her booty up. She loves a good booty scratch. So funny. But yeah, this is our first one. I'm so excited that we actually got this to work, even though there were like a bajillion tech difficulties. Yes. I think it's good because for those who don't know, we are 2 hours apart.
Yes.
So making it to record is hard.
Yes, it is.
So fun. It forces us to hang around.
It forces us to have sleepovers, which is always fun.
Exactly. It's great. But yeah.
You want to dive in to tonight?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay.
All right. So this entire midnight series is not entire, just this one is going to be on how we met and our background in starting this.
Yeah.
And we kind of, obviously we have our intro episode, but we wanted to go, it's so short. So we wanted to go a little bit deeper and just talk about how we met, how we are so similar. It's wild. I want to let you start because I think you were doing a lot of work with Hurricane Helene and everything. And I came in later. Go ahead and take it away, Rebecca.
Yeah.
How did we meet?
Oh my gosh. Such a great story. Okay, so yes, it was during Hurricane Helene. My husband and I had some relief efforts going on. I'm sure there'll be another episode later that we really deep dive into that. But we were doing a bunch of stuff here to help Western North Carolina and got pulled in to help build this nonprofit for our friend during Hurricane Helene. She was doing her own relief efforts and she really wanted to build this nonprofit up. So she asked me to join and help with that. I have some experience in nonprofits, not working for them, but volunteering for them most of my life because my mom sits on the board of some. My husband does. My mom's always been super involved in the nonprofit world. So like volunteering as a kid was like half of my childhood. I was definitely underqualified to be pulled into the building of this nonprofit, but it worked out wonderful because I got to meet you and now here we are doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so wild because I got pulled in after you were already. It was actually after the initial effort. Not died down, but slowed down. Yeah, there's still like tons of people in need. It just wasn't to the extent of that critical, 2 to 4 weeks right after it happened when everybody needed help. It was just wild. So I think it was about maybe a little after the 4-week mark when I got pulled in. And so it was through our friend and she needed help filing for her. I think she had made a post or something on Instagram and it was like, hey, I just need help, filing for anybody who has business experience, who knows how to do a business proposal. Please reach out to me. And so I reached out to her because I had actually just met her at a consignment sale, which is so funny. So we weren't super close. But yeah, we ended up heading it off and I had business experience and not in the nonprofit necessarily, but I was happy to help. I mean, a business plan is a business plan, obviously there's ins and outs that nonprofits and, for-profit businesses, there's going to be a difference there, but I know how to fill out paperwork, pretty good at that and following the rules. So, so I kind of came in and I just started helping. And then I started looking at, different. I'm such a data girl, so I got really deep into the data and helped her kind of build up that, help her file. And there's some other people that were so incredibly smart that got brought into that team. And yeah, we helped kind of build it up. And then earlier this year, we both ended up, leaving on on good terms, great terms. Like
Yeah.
we just decided that we were called to do this,
Yeah.
and we're so excited about it. But going back to when you and I actually met for the first time, it was that coffee shop, right, in
Yeah.
Raleigh?
Yeah, we were meeting to,
Yeah, like in
yeah,
person.
do some strategy work, I think, for the nonprofit.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, I was really excited. It was like I was so excited to go and see you guys, and all of this had been happening over the phone for
Mhm.
a couple weeks instead of see you in person. I remember you had that really cute vest on, the
Oh,
checkered one.
yeah. My
And
Marshall's vest.
it's so cute. I was like, "Ooh, she's so cute." And we got coffee and we sat upstairs, and I don't remember. I don't even know what I was saying. Do you remember what I was saying?
Yes. Well, I remember like the initial where I feel like our spirits and
We're
or
like,
like
yeah.
yes. I can't remember exactly what we were talking about, but oh, I think it was your zodiac necklace, and we were kind of chatting
Oh,
about
yeah.
like people's viewpoints on that and Christianity. And I think I said something like, I feel like my spirit has been so scared to even open my mind to astrology or numerology or anything like that. Just just to even be curious about it. And I remember you saying, "Did you go through a period of darkness?" And I was like, "Yeah, for 13 years, like in the pit, like straight darkness." And you were like, "Oh my gosh, I did too." And I think it was like the same amount of time too, or something like that.
Yeah, it was yeah, because I remember I don't even what it was maybe November when we were meeting. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. It was
Is that right?
cold
Was
out.
November?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cold. Yeah, because you had your cute vest on. And so, yeah, I remember I think I had a Virgo necklace because both my kids are Virgos.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, one of my sweet clients actually got it for me. And I was huge into astrology in college. And then I did the same thing. I got really scared of it because I felt like it was not Christian and it was coming from
Yeah.
the devil essentially. And so I stopped it, but I was still having issues. Like my issues were not
Yeah.
because of my astrology necklace.
Right.
And we'll definitely go into that in another episode. But yeah, I remember talking about that and being like, oh my gosh, like you went through a spirit. I heard you, and you're like, yeah, I was in such a period of darkness, and I immediately was like, oh, like you've been through spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I felt that, like, I guess it was a spirit thing because
Oh, it definitely
just the way that you
was.
said it, I
Yeah.
was like, "No, me too."
Yeah. And I remember, yeah, and I remember, I think we were talking because one of my best friends is a Reiki master, and I was like, I
Yeah.
had honestly, I don't know much about Reiki at all. I just was always scared of it because of Christianity. Like,
Mhm.
and I feel like I'm such a new believer. I mean, I'm only like 3 years. Um, so I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't want to I don't want to open my spirit up to anything that I don't have full knowledge on. And I think that was when we really did the deep
Mhm.
dive and you started talking about some spiritual warfare that you went through with your husband and his family.
Yeah. Mhm. It was such a dark time, and if you listen to my testimony, I talk about it, I go pretty in depth and, like, how dark and how low I got, and so, um, going through that, there were parts of me that especially I wouldn't say I ever like, I never when I was struggling with astrology and, like, doing other non-traditional or non-Christian, I guess, practices. So like I wouldn't say I was practicing astrology or practicing manifestation or practicing acupuncture, but I was like, doing different things. And um I'm trying to figure out where I was going with that. Shoot. Well, if it's important, it'll come back.
Exactly.
Whatever. Continue.
Well, we were talking about the warfare with your husband and his family, and I remember you telling
I know.
that story, and I remember I was like, I was either checking on Phoebe, like I was looking down, whatever I was doing, I was looking down. And you started talking about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, immediately got my attention because there's been similarities in my life with people I've walked through family wise, my husband and I had never met a wife that had sat in a similar situation. I'm not saying your story is the exact same as what's gone on in our family, but certain similarities where it caught my attention, and there was just something about it felt like God was giving me a friend that had walked through something so similar as a wife, where when I would, vent to my friends or my family about things that I was walking through personally with other family members, it wasn't like they weren't supportive, but it was like they couldn't fully grasp the magnitude of it, not just the situation, but how it affects you mentally, your marriage mentally, your your relationships, everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, I truly felt like I would never meet anyone who could understand the magnitude physically and emotionally and mentally and
Spiritually.
spiritually. And it truly felt like it was a laser focus. Our spirits just like, I was so honed in on what you were saying, and it was like our spirits just totally aligned. And then, later down the road after we would talk about other things, I was like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my gosh, that happened to me too. Same time frame, same. I mean, I feel like you and Evan proposed to you on the night that Ross and I got married, which is like just another thing that's
Isn't
just
that
like,
insane?
it's so wild. It's just wild.
And you also have a girl first that's like, what, 2 years apart
Too.
from a boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So wild. So it's like you're a little ahead of me in terms of age with the kids, but
Well,
so
too.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had so much in common. Like, and there's been other friends obviously that I've had, stuff like we have our kids really close together, or we've been like best friends. We just get along so well. But I've never had somebody that was like in every category, like you said,
Yeah.
was like spiritually
Yeah.
on the same plane, like in the, emotionally in the same way, like, marriage wise, kids wise, just so aligned and everything. And so I remember when you looked up when we were talking in that coffee shop, right? About you were like, you realized that my situation was somewhat similar. And I remember your eyes looking up, because that's when I remember. I have like the worst memory when it comes to conversations. I think it's because I talk so much for like a living.
Uh-huh.
Like clients, it's just like,
Yeah.
but I remember your eyes, and I know that's so weird. But I
No.
remember your eyes looking up, and they just like
Laser
locked
focus.
in.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh, wait, we are so similar. This is insane. And so I guess as we continued, like you said, we were talking on the phone a lot, still helping to build this other nonprofit, do paperwork, do outreach, stuff like that. Um, and then I don't know when it really hit me, but it's like I kept hearing the Lord say, because I was at this time I was taking a manifestation course. I felt so called to take a manifestation course. And I think it's because I was scared of it, truly.
Yeah.
I think the Lord was like, no, I want you to go take this. And I was like, what? Really? Okay. So I took it, and it was so good. Like my spiritual, like my connection with God got so much deeper from
Yeah.
that course. And it was like for the first time, and I talk about this in my testimony too, And it was after some of the other stuff I had gone through, but it was like for the first time, I felt like I was actually plugged in. I could
Mm.
feel the electricity and I was close to it, but I wasn't plugged in. And then I started cutting these cords and really healing my trauma and sitting in meditation and sitting in prayer. And it was like I got plugged in to
Yeah.
Jesus. It was like it lit up. And so I started to really hear the Lord, which I never heard before. And I was hearing him say things, and he was literally saying podcast. And I was like, podcast. And so I thought, oh, it must be for this nonprofit we're starting. And so I remember I brought it to you. And what was your initial reaction?
I Okay, so the one thing that was wild to me about the conversation we had about the podcast was we had like a Zoom call, something to do with the nonprofit, because there's a lot of behind the scenes work that goes on to build a
Mhm.
nonprofit and to even work for one. Um, and we had this Zoom call, and then everybody like had to go. And I remember you and I both just stayed on. And I don't know why. It was just like we were just chatting. We were I feel like I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I didn't have the words from the Lord or the vision from the Lord for the nonprofit until that Zoom call ended and we were talking for the podcast, I'm sorry. And I feel like we were chatting about like, okay, what was it? We were talking about some way to kind of highlight the underserved and the people that go unnoticed was the
Yes.
main thing that we were, because
Mhm.
that was really a lot of the relief efforts that my husband and I did. It was going to the communities that weren't receiving help. They were going unnoticed. They were lower income. They just weren't top priority. And we were like, okay, these are our people. We
Mhm.
see you. We're looking after you. And I remember you and I just having a conversation about highlighting people who often go unnoticed, who are just as
Yeah.
important
The
and
smaller
extraordinary.
communities.
Yeah, the smaller communities. And so I feel like that's where you and I really were. Maybe that's what we're supposed to meant to highlight. If we're going to be helping with natural disaster relief, let's highlight these people with these wonderful stories who often go unheard, even like these other nonprofits in the area or businesses that are doing really great things that just aren't highlighted like other people would be.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's where the podcast was born out of, and it still essentially is that today.
it is. I actually didn't realize it until you were just saying that, but we are. Our whole mission is to reach the underserved, the underconnected, right? Like the people who don't feel accepted or heard or
Yeah.
safe anywhere else.
Or even seen. And it's just,
Yeah.
I think there's something so beautiful about highlighting the ordinary people just like you and I and our neighbors down the road
Mhm.
and our friends and our family and strangers that we've never met to kind of show, their importance and how extraordinary God is. And I think we had this simple idea, or I guess like this simple seed, and it really sprouted into something bigger and more beautiful than I think
Mhm.
you and I ever even imagined. But I remember thinking, okay, I'll work for the podcast. I'll help with whatever they need help with.
Yeah.
Not at all thinking about co-hosting, because I'm like, no, that's not me. I don't like to get in front of the cameras. I'm a behind the scenes girl. But then it became very clear that
Yeah.
it was like, okay, I'm meant to be here and I'm just gonna trust the Lord. And I still have days where I'm like, are you sure?
You're
Because
like, wait, me?
yeah,
What?
I like, and I remember having this conversation with God, like, I like my life how it is.
Mhm.
Just, anyways, that
Yeah.
was a whole tangent, but that is
No,
like,
I remember you telling me that.
yeah, that was kind of my mindset when you first said the podcast. But then, yeah, carry us out to where we are now, where we started and where we're at
Yeah,
now.
we well, yeah, we got so excited. It was like the first time that I heard you really light up about something.
Yeah.
Not that you weren't lit up about
No, you're so,
before, but remember I had like come in later.
yeah.
And so I think carrying out those relief efforts the way that you and Ross did, I think you guys were exhausted.
Oh,
And so I think you were coming off of that, of,
yeah.
a crisis, right? And so
Yeah.
then to like see you light up about that, I was like, oh my gosh, this is what we're supposed to do. And I
Yeah.
was like, the Lord is giving me a download.
Yeah.
Like, he is telling me we need to start a podcast. And I was like, but I never thought it would be a spiritual podcast, because I'm not, I don't, especially a Christian one. Like, I'm not a perfect Christian, a good Christian. I'm still figuring things out. And, but I think that's exactly why he called us to do it, because we're two of the most unlikely people to start a spiritual Christian
Yes.
podcast.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we ended up, I guess it was January when we decided, okay, this is going to be something a little bit different than just nonprofit. We're feeling really called to, do what we said earlier, to meet people where they're at and bring to light a lot of different stories and testimonies from ordinary people that wouldn't otherwise be heard. And I think the majority of people are going to relate to the ordinary, not the extraordinary, perfect, striving Christian. And so we just both were, we would have these conversations on the phone for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah. Just spiritual conversation.
About God.
Yeah.
And yeah. And I was like, this is what I think this is what this podcast should be.
Yeah.
And so it actually worked out. The nonprofit was kind of going in a different direction anyway, and didn't necessarily need a podcast. And so we were like, wait, actually, I think the podcast naturally is going in a different way. And we kind of want to make it, I think the Lord is really calling us here.
Yeah.
And so, we ended up branching off in January, February, May, I can't remember. And we started Moms with a Call, and we just met and chatted. And we didn't do any crazy planning. We just everything just fell into place. Like,
Yeah.
we have lined up people. And we've already interviewed a ton of people. Yeah. Does anything stick out to you with how easy it all kind of just fell into place?
Yeah. I think I remember that moment of God, like, really, and we kind of talked briefly during it, but I feel like God put us into this preparation, this more of like this major pause. And I remember it being on a weekend, and we were talking, and I was like, we both were like, I feel like we need to spend the entire weekend in prayer, because we both felt like, and I don't want to speak for you, I'm just recalling that
you're
weekend
right.
where we were like, I feel like the Lord is really trying to talk to us, because we had this idea of where this podcast was going to go. Something just there wasn't a full, and it felt like something was missing. And we're like, okay, let's spend the weekend just in deep, intentional prayer and just have the Lord speak to us and let him tell us, just whatever he's trying to tell us. And that's where I feel like the whole podcast took a redirection almost. Not entirely, but it was kind of where he showed us his grand plan of what he was specifically calling us to do. And that's where the rebirth of the podcast came about. And then, like you said, we met, and everything was so easy. And I feel like the response that we've had from people when we've talked to people about it, they're like, they either want to come on, and it like they're immediately, can I share my story? Yeah. And we're like, of course, like, this is for you. This is not for us. This is your space.
No, we're just two moms with a call.
Yeah, we're just doing what the Lord's telling us to do. But yes, it was so effortless. It just seemed like God sent us everyone we needed, and he gave us the tools, and he gave us the plan. He gave us the people. And I still think he's going to be sending people our way that he wants us to talk to. But it was so effortless to say yes and to surrender. But that's definitely when the spiritual warfare hit us both very, 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 very hard. Yeah. And we'll talk about that in the next episode, because it deserves its own episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Because it definitely, and like you said, I loved how you called it preparation, because that's exactly what I felt we were doing. And God just kind of set us into this preparation mode. And it started in that weekend of, right,
Yeah.
of that full surrender. I think it was also the weekend that I realized my word of the year wasn't going to work. My word
Yeah.
of the year was abundance.
Yeah.
And I was like, I chose that. He did not.
Yeah.
And it's not ready. Like, I need to surrender. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yes.
And so this year has been the year of surrender. And I was like, I think this should be a part of our podcast. And you were like, what if we have a word for this season and it's surrender?
Yeah.
And we were like, I was like, I love it. It's, yeah.
Well, I remember you
Yeah.
telling me about what you just said, and it was almost like I feel like the Holy Spirit was speaking through me to you, where to me it was
Yeah.
like so abundantly clear that I was like, okay, I think there is something deeper here where surrender, because I went through my surrender year and I remember what that feels like and how hard it is. I'm talking about like where I fully grasp the concept of it, but I still have to do it daily.
Yeah.
But I
Daily.
could totally like see and feel where you were sitting at. And I was like, this deserves to be a part of this, because naturally I think that's the first step to a relationship. And I think
Yeah.
it totally aligns with what we're doing here. And I think he so clearly wanted that to be a part of your year, but also the year for our first season.
Yeah. I think so too. I think it's a natural starting place as well. So, learning to surrender was so hard, and it still is, like you said, a daily thing. And especially when we were going through, I felt like we were truly being attacked
Yeah.
from, I don't know, it was like once we realized the spirit world was there and it is a thing, it's like the veil was lifted and it's like, okay, all bets are off. We are going to go full force. And I mean, there's going to be an entire episode on it, but just to tease you, I mean, like, I wasn't sleeping. I was waking up in panic. I was ripping, necklaces and stuff off my body in my sleep. And I was having horrible anxiety. Like, all these things were happening. And then stuff was happening when I would visit you. And it was just wild.
Yeah.
So it definitely deserves. But I think that honestly, I almost had to go through that so that I understood what my purpose here was. And also, it helped me, not that I have to go through it, because I don't think God ever wants you to go through hardship, but it just changed my perspective on what everyone is going through every single day.
Mhm.
And they don't even realize that it might be spiritual.
Yeah.
They're probably under spiritual attack. And so it helped me get really, really clear on why I believed what I believed.
Yeah.
And it helped me hold on that much more to Christ and dive deeper into my faith and come out the other side. And
Yeah.
it pushed me into a full surrender, one that I'd never
Yeah.
truly experienced. One other time was with Noah, when I was, postpartum with her. But I would say that one was like one of the worst times in my life. But then this one was extremely hard because I was just spiritually so tired. So
Yeah.
that is coming up next.
Yes.
Next Midnight series.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to chatting through all that. I think it'll be really healing for both of us, because it was a low-key scary time. But again, like you said, like
Yeah. It's really scary.
there's so much spiritual strength that we gained from it, and clarity, and just knowledge is power. But yeah, I think it'll be really healing to dive through that. So I'm excited about that episode.
Me too. All right. Well, until next time, I know you don't have a drink with you, but I got my Diet Coke. So I'm going to cheers.
Cheers.
And we'll see you next time.
I love you so.
I love you too. Perfect. Okay. Go on, Maggie.
Thanks for being here with us today.
If something resonated, maybe a sentence, a silence, or a story, hold on to that. If you felt seen or stirred or simply curious, we hope you'll join us again. Until then, stay open, stay tender, and remember, there's always a seat for you at the table.